Well, folks, here we are in Columbia, Missouri. Parker Thune alongside Brian Clinton. And Brian, you want to try and find words? Because I really can't right now.
Roller coaster. Roller coaster of emotion. I'm in a glass case of emotion, as Anchorman would say. I have not been left totally speechless over the course of the final 2 minutes of a football game like that in quite some time. That was quite the turn of events, and Oklahoma has found yet another way to lose a football game.
For my money, Brian, the most inexplicable loss of the Brent Venables era, because Sooner magic happened. Billy Bowman recovers the fumble. You have a tie game, 16-16. Billy Bowman recovers the fumble, runs it in for a touchdown right at the 2-minute timeout in the fourth quarter. And suddenly, a Missouri offense that couldn't find a groove all day finds its groove at the right time, goes down the field in less than 90 seconds, string together a scoring drive to knot the game at 23. And then, of course, disaster strikes. Jackson Arnold fumbles. The fumble is scooped and subsequently scored by Zion Young. And a game that looked like it was all but in Oklahoma's hands. A victory you could taste with 2 minutes left turns into a loss that, let's be frank here, Brian, is likely going to knock the Sooners out of contention for a bowl game. Because here's the brutal reality for this football team. And we'll riff off this for a while here. And rest assured, folks, there is much more insight and analysis coming on the OU Insider Under the Visor postgame podcast, which we're going to record as soon as we get back to our hotel. But the reality for this team, Brian, is they're going to be massive underdogs against Alabama. They're going to be massive underdogs against LSU. And should they win either of those games, this is now the type of upset that would quantify as a seismic one. Oklahoma is that team. Historically, Oklahoma has been the team that has been on the wrong side of seismic upsets. Now they're the team that isn't even really given a chance going into November 23rd against Alabama and November 30th against LSU.
Yeah, it's seismic is probably about the right word. The way that this team has played against SEC opponents, it's almost unimaginable for them to put together a winning performance, because as soon as it appears that way, somehow, some way, they find a way to give the game up. And some of that's due to inexperience, I'm sure. Some of that's due to bad luck, whatever you will call it. Plain and simple, this team's just not very good.
No, they're not.
This team is just not very good. There's a lot of things that this team is missing. The dejected feeling that you had after this game, it extended well beyond the coach. We spoke with players, we spoke with coordinators. Everybody was just in shock of how this game ended. And really, at the end of the day, it does leave me speechless, because there's just not a word to describe the level of disappointment that locker room felt after this latest blunder. And it, as you said, this was the opportunity. Drew Pines starts the game. He ends the game with 3 touchdown passes.
He was brutal for 3 quarters.
Correct.
3 quarters, Missouri's offense had nothing going.
And then whenever they needed it most, Drew Pine comes together and puts things together for scoring drives. On the flip side, unfortunately, the Sooners lost the turnover battle yet again.
4-1.
4-1. You're just not going to win football games like that.
No, you're not. And it's something the Sooners have been susceptible to all season. I can't think offhand of how many games they've won the turnover battle in SEC play. I don't even think they won the turnover battle when they went to Auburn and won that football game. So this team just continues to find new and innovative and crushing ways to shoot itself in the foot every single week. And Brian, let's get real uncomfortably honest here for a moment. I am not writing the epitaph of the Brent Venables era by any means. Just waiting for the golf cart. I'm not writing the epitaph of the Brent Venables era by any means. But if and when Brent Venables is dismissed as head coach at the University of Oklahoma, this is going to be the game that people point to.
Correct.
Because this was the game that A, you had to win.
Yep.
Absolutely had to win to get to bowl eligibility. B, it was right there in front of you.
Yes.
Victory was within your grasp. And you just choked it away.
Yep.
And C, it's legitimately inexcusable that your team would lose to that Missouri team.
Correct.
With Drew Pine at quarterback.
Yes.
It was a mismatch.
And
At least that's what it looked like. That's what it should have been.
And not only that, the problem that I think is going to be very difficult to explain away is the things that built up, that stacked upon each other for this loss to happen, are the same issues that we have seen not just in the 2024 season, but have sustained the entirety of Brent Venables' tenure so far. It's been turnovers, it's been clock management issues, it's been a host of different things that just continue to shoot the Sooners in the foot. And at some point, you do have to wonder, you have to ask, are these issues coming from the top? And if they are, what do you do about it? And at this point, I think there's only one answer left. And we're just going to have to see how things play out the rest of the season. Because right now, anybody who supports Brent Venables, anybody who wants to see him succeed, is having a harder and harder time explaining how he needs more time. And myself being one of those people.
Yeah.
I'm starting to run out of answers. So, yeah, this is a tough one, and you're right. This absolutely will be the one that broke the proverbial camel's back if and when that does happen.
Well, and here's what I think is frustrating to so many people tonight on social media and on message boards, people who have very emotional, knee-jerk reactions to a loss like this. But I think these people are very justified in having these frustrations, Brian, and I share them. You're doing a lot of the same things over and over again and expecting the results to be different. And that's the definition of insanity.
Right.
For instance, Spencer Brown should never touch the field again at Oklahoma. I'm sorry. Spencer Brown should never touch the field again at Oklahoma. It's absolutely inexcusable that they keep trotting him out there at right tackle to get beat every single snap in pass pro.
And another thing, and I understand that Joe John Finley is the tight ends coach before he was the offensive coordinator, but if you take away the 43-yard reception for Bauer Sharp on the fake punt, he had 5 touches for -4 yards.
There's almost an insistence to try and run the offense through Bauer Sharp.
Yes.
And where is that coming from?
Well, and if you're going to do that, do it in the intermediate where he's actually a weapon. Do not do it side to side where he is slower than everybody in SEC play. Guys, it worked against Maine. Maybe, I don't give him the ball behind the line of scrimmage ever again. At this point, it's become an issue. So, yeah, they're inexplicable things. We could sit here and talk about it for forever. But, yeah, same issues lead to the same result.
Maybe the lone bright spot tonight, with the benefit of hindsight, is the performance of Xavier Robinson, who, when nothing else was working in the fourth quarter for this Oklahoma offense, found a groove.
Yeah.
And kept that drive that culminated in Taylor Tatum's touchdown pass to Jackson Arnold to tie the football game alive.
Yeah.
That drive was sustained almost single-handedly by Xavier Robinson. A shout-out as well to Zach Schmidt, who hit a career-long 56-yard field goal, tied for the third longest in program history, and it was a huge one, gave the Sooners a lot of momentum going into the halftime break. And then, of course, come out in the third quarter, and it all vanishes. We get stuffed on 4th and 1. Missouri goes right down the field, finally breaks their drought with a touchdown to take a 10-9 lead, and then the fourth quarter was where the wheels came off. Really for both teams. Unfortunately, Missouri managed to get the wheels back on at the very end when it counted. Folks, Oklahoma's 5-5. Alabama comes to town on November 23rd. The Sooners go to Baton Rouge to finish the regular season on November 30th. Those two teams played tonight. Alabama won 42-13. So if there's any solace to be found, maybe by virtue of that result, you feel like you have an inkling of a chance, an iota of a chance, going to Tiger Stadium down in Baton Rouge. But let's be frank with ourselves, Brian. This team has not really shown anything through SEC play to indicate that they are capable of competing on the same playing field as Alabama and LSU. Perhaps the most damning statistic of all, this offense has not scored more than 2 touchdowns in any SEC game to date. They have not scored more than 2 offensive touchdowns in any game throughout conference play. So there you go. Brent Venables and this team have a lot of soul searching to do over the bye week, and we have a 90-minute drive back to the Kansas City area where we will record the OU Insider Under the Visor post-game podcast. It's gonna be great. Can't wait. We'll see you soon.